Wake your ass up
or take a damn nap.
And we're the three best friends that anybody could have.
It's time.
Sean, you were twerking. That's going to happen.
Murph, don't be a dick all your life.
It's one of the more fun podcasts I've ever done.
Hey, I tell you what, if you're not talking about sports in the man cave, I better not say you not a man.
That's it.
Man, this has been a long time coming. I never would have thought back in Austin Todd's days as a Round Rock Dragon that 6 years later that we'd be sitting here talking about a career that just ended. Austin Todd, the pride of Round Rock, Texas, man. First of all, I got to tell you, thank you for making time for an episode with me. I know it has been fun watching you play at Texas, coming off another College World Series appearance. But, man, how do you sum this up as far as, do you think it's a blessing for you that you got actually 2 more years of eligibility, so to speak?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I love the little video that you put up there for me. That was great. But to answer your question, I do. I think it was an absolute, blessing in disguise, and coming back to the university for the, after COVID happened. And I personally thought that my days of playing baseball after COVID hit, it was either going to go play in the pros or whatever, or go find a job. And that was the first time that I didn't know what to expect. And I think I got that year back, and they limited the draft to, 5 rounds that year? Yeah. And I was like, man, that's kind of stinks, because I think I was going to possibly go maybe in the 10, in the top 10 rounds, but I wasn't going to go in the 5. And so it was one of those things that, okay, I got an opportunity to come back, and then go down again. And that year that I got back from COVID, I was just like, holy cow. And I remember calling Coach Miller, because that was – I just said about the time that I didn't know what I was going to do. Well, that was the real moment of like, man, I don't really know what I'm going to do now. This is I was in tears, and I was telling him, Coach, is there any kind of way that I can come back? Is there any years of eligibility that I haven't used yet? And he was like, let me just see it. So he called me back a couple of days later and said, you haven't used your medical yet. You can use that. You haven't played enough games yet. So why don't you just use your medical, get your surgery, and go do it? I said, deal. It's done deal. You ain't got to tell me twice. So that's what happened. But it was, I would say it was a blessing in disguise. And the memories that I created and the relationships that I built over those 6 years, it's not everybody gets to do that. I mean, people leave in 4 years and they say, man, if I could only go back. Well, I got to do that for 2 more years. So it was pretty awesome.
It's pretty amazing. And that's the Austin Todd story is we're going to unbundle it in this first segment. Segment 2, we're going to get his takes on a few subjects, hot topics, and have some fun with them as well. And before we go any further, we got to give a shout out and some love to Jimmy Saxton, State Farm Insurance Agency. Jimmy is, man, an Austin, Texas OG, Westlake quarterback, played for the Longhorns, and his dad, you'll learn more about him in the middle segment. He was a Heisman finalist, his late father, who was a tremendous man. But this guy, if for all of your insurance needs, and I tell this story over and over, Austin, I bought a new truck about 3 months ago. Called Jimmy. He didn't answer, but he texted me. He said, I just called Chris at my office. He's going to have your full – I'm in the dealership at Town North Nissan. 30 minutes later, I'm fully covered, have the digital proof of it, just like that within a half hour. And that's the kind of quality that Jim Saxton State Farm is.
Well, heck, I need a new truck too, so I might be calling him as well.
Jim Saxton State Farm, man, hook a brother up in Austin Todd. He's basically an ATX guy. Round Rock, massive city nowadays. But man, I want to pull up a picture for you. There's going to be quite a few coming up, Austin. This is going to be a lot of fun here. But this right here, I thought that I would pull up. I remember this tweet back when I was in my KVU days, when you committed to the University of Texas.
What's the date on that thing? 2000.
It had to be 16, right?
15 maybe.
15.
Was it 16?
The fall before 16. That's right.
Yeah. It was 2015. I remember exactly where I was when I committed to.
Where were you, and what was Austin Todd like, the 2015 version, and were you thinking at that moment before you hit send?
Oh man, I remember. I was actually, me and my dad were out at the Surfside Beach, and we had just got done fishing, and I remember I had like 2 or 3 missed calls from a couple of schools. I think might have been McNeese State, and I think it was Belmont.
Yeah.
And I had these voicemails, and they were saying that how they were interested in me and all this, and I called. I was with my real dad, and I his name's Eric, and I called my mom and I called my stepdad. I was like, hey, these guys are calling me. What do you guys think? And they were like, I think, you probably know where your heart is. And I said, yeah, I probably do. They were like, all right, well, quit beating around the bush with it. Let's go ahead and pull the trigger. So I called, I remember I called Tommy Nicholson that day, and I told him I committed. I was ready to commit. And I remember it was one of the best feelings that I had, had into that point in my career, and all the hard work that I had, being, I wouldn't say overlooked, but I was always, because I went to high school with, 5 D1 commits, and Mason Thompson and Cameron Blake and guys like that. And, early in my high school career, like freshman, sophomore year, I just felt like I was kind of in their footsteps a little bit, like in their shadows, and which, honestly probably pushed me to work harder, because they would get the area code invites and all that stuff. And I would sit back and I wouldn't get the invites. And I was like, man. And so it would push me to work harder. And I just remember, when I committed, I was like, man, this is what a sigh of relief. Just not knowing if I was going to play college baseball to going to the University of Texas. It was unbelievable. But I knew that when I hit that send button on that Twitter, I was like, okay, this is where the real work gets started. So I'm in for the long haul, baby.
I remember that day, and I remember that we came out to Round Rock when you and Cameron were, talking about, I think it was Mason. He went to A&M, right? Or
Mason was committed to Texas. Mason Cole and Cameron Blake were committed to A&M.
That's right.
Yep.
I'm glad I need you to correct me from time to time.
That's all right.
It's been a few years.
It sure has.
That's an amazing story, because Round Rock, if people don't know, wherever you may be watching, if you're outside of the state of Texas, Round Rock, the Dragons, just north of Austin, has been a baseball power for quite some time. And Austin was a significant piece of that with Coach Carter up there. But when you look back, and we're gonna start from the top and work our way down, the Omaha experience, you got to experience it 3 times as a Longhorn. And I know this last one was really tough, because all the adversity you guys went through. Started the year number 1, and I hate preseason polls. I'm just going to put that out there, because it's all on potential. But then you guys had the team, but then the injury to Tanner, then you suffered another injury. The bullpen had to grow up really fast. But reaching Omaha for a 3rd time this year, did that mean more than maybe the other 2 at all? Or am I going off the deep end on that one?
I would say it absolutely did. Because, my sophomore year, I was starting in the beginning of it, and then I got hurt I went down with my thumb and my shoulder, and then I wouldn't say that I was necessarily kind of the leader or the impact that I had on that team that I might have had on this team. So it meant a whole lot more. And, getting to experience that Omaha and sophomore year, it was, that's an experience that it'll make you grow up, and it'll make you have that want to be back, which I think that really kind of helped me in my career. But, it was Cody Clemens was an incredible player for us that year, and he was our leader. He was the guy that, made us all better, and he got us there. And, I think last year I was hurt again, so I actually didn't even get to go to the Omaha.
Oh.
So I was sitting on the couch, and I was watching – I was with the team the whole year, and I was with the team in the dugout for the regional and the super regional. And then coach called me and was like, "I can't bring you." And I was like, "Why?"
Yeah.
Why? And he goes, "Well, we have to cut our roster limit down because we're only allowed to travel so many guys for postseason or whatever it is, and you're not one of them because you're hurt." So, that one stung a little bit. That one almost, I wouldn't say that left a bad taste in my mouth, but it was one that you're like, okay, well, if I want to get back to that, I better start working hard, and I got to remember this feeling and let this push you as motivation. And I remember sitting on my couch with my family at Round Rock and watching the games. It's one of the toughest things that anybody can do, especially being an athlete with the team. It was,
oh my God,
just seeing them so close, and you want them to win. It's so bad, and you want to be there cheering for them. You want to be in the dugout. But, I was very, happy to have been a part of the team and be with the guys as long as I did. But I think, I learned a lot about myself in that year as well. And, this year it was just to get back and to be, have an impact on the team and be with the guys most of the year is just unbelievable.
We'll talk about this year's team that, I thought showed a lot of character. Some people will say that the team fell short of goals going 0-2 in the College World Series. And I remember your post-game press conference. I'm going to be honest with you. Just watching you on that. I mean, obviously, that's heartbreaking, man. That's tough. But I felt you on that because you were – I don't know how you did it. It's called being a professional, number one. Talk about it and answer questions. I mean, because that's a rush of emotions. You're probably still numb because this is the one subject you overcame a lot, namely injuries, to reach that point. I mean, how did you face that moment immediately afterwards and be rushed up to a press table to answer questions?
I was pretty numb, like you said. It was one of those things that I was really trying hard not to be the last out right there.
Yeah.
And I remember, just staying locked in on the game, and it kind of crossed my mind that I'm going to get this is probably my last AB that I'm going to have in the burnt orange, and I was like, let's make it a good one. So I got in that box, and I had saw the ball, pretty good in Omaha, and I think in the A&M game I had 3 hits, and so I was really seeing it pretty well, and the wind was blowing in pretty hard.
Yeah,
those 2 days that we were playing, and not a lot of balls were flying out to left field in those days. But if you got it up to right, it was going out. But I hit that ball probably as a changeup, and I hit that ball probably out as well as I could have. And I think it was just maybe 2 or 3 feet short of the warning track. But I remember I was like, man, I hit the bag, and I just remembered the emotions just hit me, and I teared up a little bit and watched A&M celebrate on the field. And, it was one of those things that I had worked so hard for it. You come up just a little bit short, and everybody on the team worked hard for it. And it was one of those things that you kind of you almost feel like you let the team down a little bit because you're the last out, and you don't want to have that feeling. It's kind of just keep going, keep extending that bat, get the next guy up. Maybe something can happen. And yeah, it was, to go into that media press conference, it wasn't something that I was about as ready as I could have been, but
yeah,
just try to answer questions and, give them the answer they want to hear.
Well, you handled it well, and I know it sounds funny me bringing that up because I was once that guy with the mic or asking questions, and with you, but my approach was, be honest, be real, don't sensationalize it, but be respectful of the moment, but get that raw emotion and respect it. But one thing I loved about, this is all baseball players. Or all sports, period. The nicknames, the AKAs, so to speak. Who started this? The Todd Father. I mean, it's a solid nickname, by the way. A play off the Godfather. There's been Grandpa. There's been everything. There's probably people wishing you had grandchildren by now to have another Longhorn go through the system. That's a Todd. But who started that? When did that really become a thing?
I'm not going to lie to you, Sean. I really don't even know who started that. I saw it on an Instagram post. I think Texas Baseball posted after a home run I hit, and people started catching on to it. So yeah. I think there's a lot of nicknames in that going around in that locker room, and I think Ivan has called me that a couple times, but Coach Pierce has called me Grandpa, like you said, and Pops, and I've heard it all, but. I tell you that nickname is nothing like the Hispanic Titanic. I tell you that.
Buddy. That is so. Speaking of that, what was that like watching him? I mean, let's just face it, Austin. You guys have had that was one of the. I'm not lying to you when I say this, or just exaggerating because you're here. That's one of the best college lineups I have ever seen in person my entire life. Watching that and watching Staley. Protecting him and throughout the whole lineup. So watching him do what he did and to develop because of Tulo developed all of you, but watching him do what he did, I mean, from a player's perspective, and you can be raw with this because I think a lot of people attended the games to see if he would do it every home game.
Yeah, I mean, we got to sit back and watch. It was kind of a player like that comes around once in a blue moon. And I got to see, Cody Clemens. Yeah. And he was an incredible player too as well. And it just, I think Cody was a finalist for the Golden Spikes. I think somebody beat him out, but I think it was Andrew Vaughn beat him out. But just seeing the difference of players of Cody and how he would go about the game and kind of the things that he did, he hit home runs, but he would get a lot of base hits too.
Right.
And Ivan, when he hit that ball, like that was a different sound. Like we would all just sit back and kind of in batting practice, even just like, holy cow, like, how are you doing that? Like we're all asking him questions like, how did you hit that ball that far like you did? Like, well, can you give us something? Like maybe it'll click with us. But
help a brother out.
No kidding. But yeah, no, he was an incredible player, and I'm so happy for that guy. And
yeah.
He won all the awards, and he deserved it. He was an incredibly hard worker, and yeah, that kid is special. And that lineup, like you talk about, we took a lot of pride in, having that lineup kind of like that, and that was one of the things that we would come to the field every day and talk about is be the best lineup that, in the nation. And I don't know if we were or we weren't, but I probably could tell you that we might be the best lineup at the University of Texas ever, but that was an incredible, unbelievable lineup to be a part of. And I hope that, next year's lineup is even better.
Yeah. There's a potential, and it is Texas. And that's one of the reasons why you made the short trip from Round Rock to become a Longhorn. And one thing about you that I've appreciated is you stayed true to who you are. You're an outdoorsman. And I'm gonna, we're gonna do picture association here. We got a little bit of Austin as an outdoorsman here. Here we go. Here we go. Look at this right here.
Oh, there we go.
So Austin Todd, the outdoorsman, to the left. I can't really tell how many points. How big was that buck and where was it?
So that deer right there, I have been watching that deer for 3 years now.
Yeah.
And he was about 6 when I shot him. So I kind of watched him grow up a little bit. That was out at my deer lease out in Marble Falls.
Okay.
And that deer right there scored 147 inches in Boone and Crockett, which I thought it might break the 150, but it didn't. It was 14 points. It had a kicker. I don't know if you could see on that G2 on the left. He's got 2 kickers right there, and it was identical on the right side. So that deer was a very special deer to me because in that picture right there on the bottom right, you get to see who I got to shoot it with.
Your grandpa.
And he was right there alongside him with me, and that man right there, he's 83 years old, and he still gets around with the youngest of the group. So I drag him fishing and drag him hunting, and we get up in the mornings and we get up at the butt crack of dawn and we go at it. So it's awesome to have him alongside with me, and that's a memory. I got that deer mounted, and I got that picture right there on the right. I got that framed, and so I got that picture right below the mount, so I get to look at it when I go home.
Some good looking deer, and those are beautiful. And then upper right, those are some amazing looking redfish caught out in the bay there.
Yeah, that picture right there, that was all of our catches, but it wasn't just me, but I contributed to that. So there was me, my buddy that I go fishing with down to Port O'Connor, then Bryce Elder, and then Justin Eckert and that trip. And so that was all the redfish that we caught that day. And me and Bryce were walking. My buddy, his name's Dave. He owns the boat and he owns the house, and he dropped me and Bryce off kind of around this island down in Port O'Connor, and they dropped us off, and then they went about a mile or so, and they said, all right, we'll wade fish towards the boat, and then whenever you get to the boat, then we'll go, or wherever, we'll move spots. Well, on our way to the boat, me and Bryce were not catching anything. We hadn't even gotten a bite, and I'm thinking, man, this is it was the tides weren't really moving too much, and so I was thinking, man, the bites are just tough today. And I heard this splash kind of towards the island, and I was like, Bryce, just keep fishing. I'm gonna go over here. And there was a back lake in that island, and I looked in that water, and that water was probably about 2 feet deep, and I could see tails sticking up. And I said, Bryce, come on. So we sneaked in.
Hurry.
I said, we sneaked in that back lake, and we wore them out. And then the boat came and tried to find us, and we told them, hey, we got reds in this back lake, and they got in that back lake with us. And we probably caught, there was 4 of us, so that's 12 redfish right there. We probably caught 25 redfish and throwing back keepers.
Unbelievable.
That's a day right there that you pay a lot of money for. And we got to do it for free.
Any tips on what do you do when you're red fishing that is automatic for you? I know you have to be there, but what do you do? What have you learned through your experience so you can have a productive red day?
Well, personally, I'd like to start with the trout first in the morning. I like to, because the trout generally bite a little bit better when it's cooler. And so I always go out deeper. I start deeper and try to catch those trout out in the guts. And then once the sun comes up and those trout start to wear off, then I go up into the back lakes, because generally when that tide's falling, then they'll get trapped back in there. Or if there's a high tide, then they'll get back in those back lakes as well. And
yeah,
I mean, there's always redfish in those back lakes. You just got to find them. And you could come back with an absolute meat haul with those trout and redfish. So, and there's been times where I go in those back lakes and trying to find redfish, and I catch trout. So you never know what you're going to catch.
Crazy.
it's a different world down there. I love it. You never know what you're going to catch and never know what you're going to see. I've seen some crazy stuff wade fishing down there, and some stuff that's made me walk on water back to the boat. Some stuff that I want to go see again. So, but I love going down there.
It's beautiful, and the Texas Gulf Coast is very underrated to people who aren't aware for sport fishing. Austin Todd here, Round Rock native, Texas Longhorn baseball great, spent 6 great years, and as he mentioned, it was a blessing. And before we move forward, be sure to like us, follow and like Stories Inside the Man Cave on all the social media platforms. We're now on TikTok. I finally gave in. TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram,
Look
Facebook.
At you.
I know
Look
it,
at
man.
you.
Some of the things I see on TikTok, Austin, I'm just like,
you're like a high school girl.
I know.
TikTok.
It's exactly. I'm over here thumbing these videos and entertained, wasting a lot of time trying to get off of that. That's what it is. Well, hey, one thing that you got to experience, it's a baseball family with the parents and occupy left field. And luck would have it that I've got a picture to associate that. And Mark Pena and that entire group with left field are some phenomenal folks. And you'll love this one. Because there's a certain lady in there that with your jersey. That's your mom.
Sure is.
That was last year, I believe. I think I took that. But, man, how do you sum up this experience with Occupy Left Field, that and the parents and the fans who jump on board, Mike Murphy, Eric Prescott, all those guys, Jeff Cross. I mean, it's a pretty phenomenal fraternity if you think about it, with the moms and dads involved.
Oh, I mean, that whole Occupy Left Field thing and Mark Pena does over there, I love it. I think it's incredible for UT. I think it's great for our baseball program. And, they have our backs, throughout the season. And I can't thank them enough, as a player. And I think, I know that whenever I was here in freshman year, they had the wall. Yeah. I think they had the wall up there. And so they would always be peeking their heads over the wall, which I was like, these guys are dedicated, man. Like, I would never sit out there looking over a wall. But once they took that wall down, and you just start to see it grow and more people come and get involved. And yeah, the parents loved it too, because they get to go over there, have a drink or two before they go into the game. And they were, Mark and Jeff and guys like that. They were so good to my family, and my family, I know that they really do appreciate what they do for us, and being very supportive of us. And, they're friends now, and I know that my family will probably go to a game next year, and I'll be there as well, probably out in left field, having a drink with those guys.
That's going to be fun to have Austin Todd on the other side. And that, that kind of brings up the next point. And it's, listen, you got to keep your options open. You never know. And I know that you've been through a lot with the MLB amateur draft. It used to be in June. I'm glad they moved it, because it used to be during the College World Series, which was absolutely dumb, if you ask me. So this year, I mean, I would expect that you will be drafted. There's 20 rounds. Will this be the third time? Is that for you? Because were you drafted out of high school?
No.
Okay.
I haven't ever been drafted.
I thought you were. Okay.
I've gotten calls about in the COVID year. I could have gotten drafted my junior year.
Yeah.
Turned down the money for it. It wasn't what I wanted, and so they didn't even pull my name. And then COVID happened, and that was the one that I thought I might get drafted, that year, and limited it to 5 rounds. So I think people were calling about a free agent, deal, and that wasn't something that I wanted to look into either. And then, this year it's going to be, I'm not really sure what's going to happen. I think the numbers that I put up were okay this year, but I think, it's one of those things. I'm a little older, and like I've been through a couple injuries, now, and so I'm not going to be disappointed if things don't go the way that I want to, because I think that I've had a very good run at it, and I think I'd be okay if it didn't, work out, but I think I'm going to remain hopeful, and we'll see what happens and just go from there.
Well, you've been through a lot, and I would imagine, and I'm just assuming, when you go through and fight through what you have, your body and your minds meet up and basically come to an agreement. All right, that's enough. We've done enough. I don't know if that's what you're feeling or not.
I wouldn't say that. My body, it's not when I was 18, 19 years old anymore, but I'm definitely not 50 yet either. But I think it's definitely getting close to that time where, it may be telling me I need to stop, but, I'm not sure if I'm ready to give in yet.
I don't doubt you one bit, and I think you still have some – my opinion doesn't matter, but I would not surprise me if you're in minor league baseball this time next year fighting through the system. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if you're with some Fortune 500 company either. So I don't –
Well, either way, I hope it all works out the way it's supposed to.
Oh, it will. When Austin Todd's involved, there's no doubt. All right, Austin, manscaped.com. You've probably heard of them. They do a hell of a job marketing. And we're one of the podcasts lucky enough to Stories Inside the Man Cave they decided to sponsor. And they constantly evolve, and we've heard that word a lot, pivoting, evolving since COVID. Well, all of as men, our significant others would prefer us. I'm not to resemble a German black forest below the belt.
You know what? You're probably right. My girlfriend probably not like that very much.
The latest and greatest package. And I got to ask manscaped.com if they can hook up Austin Todd with this one, the Ultra Smooth package. I mean, it is a 3-step process, and you got to have humor when dealing with this. Now, this is like kindergarten, the show and tell. Let's read. Let's point to the illustrations.
They have instructions on that thing too, huh?
Absolutely. You got to get in the shower, Austin. Then you got to scrub it. And as you can tell, it's a ball. And then you got to lube it up. Then it's showtime, meaning the razor. Well, step 1, Austin, is the gentle exfoliant for the growing area. It's essential. Then you go to step 2, the clean growing shaving gel.
Sean, did they give you Manscaped for your head too, or
they did? I think they need to upgrade because the follicles are growing back. But my follicles, they go 2 inches and stop, and it looks like a premature porcupine.
Oh man, that's good stuff.
The razor, buddy. Size isn't everything. You don't.
Oh man.
And there's the little extra blades.
That is awesome.
Shaving care for down there. They're all about the love for men's balls. Take care of them, man. And
that's right.
Testicular cancer awareness is what they're about too.
You only got one set in your life.
One set, and you live once. Take care of them.
That's right.
So, Austin, if you and the Horns or whomever else, your family, maybe your dad, maybe any guy watching right now, go to manscaped.com, look for the Ultra Smooth package, and use this promo code right there, ManCave20, for 20% off. It's all one word. You won't regret it. Hey, this is time for Austin to tell some good stories. I told some manscaped.com stories. The Manscaped story, Man Cave, brought to us by Jim Saxon State Farm Insurance Agency. Is there one, Austin Todd? Dugouts are the best, or clubhouses are usually the best. for these type of stories to initiate? There's a lot of them. Is there one in particular that you love to tell?
I absolutely love that you just did the whole promo for the Manscaped, because it's going to fall right into my story.
No way.
That's unbelievable. So one of the best stories that I've got, I was a junior. We were down in Stanford, and Mike McCann was my roommate. He was my roommate on the road, and he was my roommate as well, at home.
Yeah.
And he was the catcher in the Stanford game, and I remember we were probably losing. I don't think we did too well over there at Stanford. But I remember Mike, he was back there, and a foul ball. I don't remember who was pitching, but a foul ball
remember this.
The foul ball was hit, and I'm sitting in right field in this game, and it's dark. Like it's there's no. Everything is sleeping, right? Animals and all that. And I hear he gets this foul ball, and it hits off the dirt, and it goes right underneath his cup and hits him right in the contact.
Oh,
and
God.
I have never heard a grown man wheeze like I heard him wheeze. I mean, I was looking in the outfield like, holy cow, there's a bird. Like, there's got to be a bird out there in the trees. Like, I've never even heard of this bird. And it was McCann laying on the dirt. And I'm sitting there, oh, my God, I feel so bad for him. Well, I get back to the hotel, and McCann, he left to go to the hospital, I guess, to make sure everything is still intact and working in place, and that he wasn't going to lose, his manlyhood there in California. And I get back to the hotel, and I remember we stayed at the Westin, and the Westin always had, robes. Whenever we would walk into the hotel, they would have 2 robes for us. And he's sitting in his robe eating a Snickers bar, and he's sprawled out on top of the bed. And he looks at me, and I walk in with my jersey on, and I said, pretty much nothing is on. He's just got his robe on, and he looks like he had just gone through it. But he looks at me, and I said, God dang, Mike. I said, why don't you just go ahead and wine and dine me first? Take me on a date. And I'll never forget that. That is one of the greatest memories that I have of Mike McCann playing baseball.
And the way you described it, I remember that now. That's got to be some of the worst pain.
Oh, I can only imagine. I would hate for that to happen to me, but rather it be him than me.
Oh, my God. And was that the same series in which the field was wet out in the outfield?
It was. I don't know if it was wet in the outfield, but it was wet on the mound. Like a shower had just come down. It was sunny. Yeah. And there was like literally one little cloud, and it just dumped right on the field. And I don't know if that was just a sign of the weekend. Maybe he was just telling us, hey, you guys need to get out of here. But it just torched that mound. God,
Michael McCann, the pride of Cedar Ridge High School. He's good people.
He is. I still talk to him.
He was a good catcher, man. Tough kid.
He is.
Hey, he's a fine American too.
He sure is. Good friend.
I mean, I'm glad you guys stayed connected, but yeah, now that you bring it, that was all. Now the visual of him in the robe. Now I can't unsee it. I can't unsee it.
He did not care either. He was hurting.
Hey, brother, we're going to take a really quick break, and we're going to have some fun on the other side. I got another surprise for you for segment 2 with the Austin Todd, and we've got more coming up on the other side of the break. For all of your insurance needs, look no further than our primary sponsor, Jim Saxton State Farm Insurance Agency. The ATX OG has been insuring Austin for over 3 decades. And get this, Jim Saxton is a Longhorn legacy. He is the son of the late, great James Saxton, who was a Heisman finalist. Be sure to give him a call, or better yet, visit his website, saxtoninsurance.com, and tell him that the Stories Inside the Man Cave Boys recommended you.
This is JJ Gotch, CEO of the Austin Gamblers. And segment 2 of Stories Inside the Man Cave is next.
Pete Hansen. Deal here, and Todd blisters one left field. That thing carried. Lock it, cock it, rock it, restock it. Longhorns up 2-0.
Unbelievable. Do you know who caught that? That was one of the hardest hit homers I've ever seen at the college level, especially indoors.
No, I don't think anybody caught it. It was up in that second deck. There was nobody up there. That was one of the best feelings best home runs I've hit, because just that feeling off that bat. As soon as I hit it, I knew it was gone, and I gave it a little watch as I walked out of the box too. But I battled my butt off in that AB, and I got a pitch, didn't miss it.
Yeah, well, did he throw it right? I mean, right in the zone. Where is your soft part in the zone that you gravitate to?
Soft part as in like my go-to spot, or like
what specifically to that pitch?
Honestly, I really wasn't looking for anything right there. I think it was 3-2.
Yeah.
And I was battling, trying to just get to the next base, and I had fouled off some probably hittable pitches in that at bat early on the year, but or early on in the bat. And so I was just thinking, get to the next pitch, just keep battling, get his pitch count up. And he had just thrown me that slider, I think, and I fouled it, and I hit it foul. I think it might have been a home run. And I was like, okay, I hit that ball pretty good. I was like, if he throws it again, I think I got it. And he threw it the exact same pitch. And I was like, don't miss this one.
That sounded good. And your reaction was even better. It sounded like an alligator chomping down on a turtle, a large turtle.
Sounded like a shotgun.
That's more like buckshot coming out.
Buckshot.
As we move forward here, the future of Texas Longhorns baseball, it's kind of like a reload situation, it seems like, every year. You've got Sean Allen. He's not going to be around. My opinion, and your opinion too, Troy Tulowitzki did wonders for the past 3 years on hitting. We don't know who will play those roles. He's moving on. And that's major college athletics at its finest. What can you say? And now we have the transfer portal, which is part of every sport. From what you see and what you know, and obviously you don't have to say anything, but I mean, should Longhorn fans be concerned, or is this in a good place with Coach Pierce? Because I think Coach Pierce has a track record of tremendous amounts of success already.
I think we always go by saying, baseball is trust the process. And I think this is one of those things that, nobody really knows. And so I think, just being an ex-player now from them, you just got to trust the process and trust what, Coach Pierce is doing over there, and know that, he's doing all this for a reason. And we don't know what that reason is. We don't need to know what that reason is. We'll find out come the spring. Yeah. So I think, the transfer portal with the one-time, transfer. What is the rule? Whatever rule they have that you can play.
Transfer,
that you can play right away. I think that that benefits schools like us. I think Coach will definitely look into that and find some guys. I mean, heck, he found Mike Antico, and now this year Skylar Messenger. So he's going to definitely use that transfer portal and bring in some talent. And I can't wait to see kind of the guys that he brings in, as well as the guys that were returning. I think Mitchell Daly and Dylan Campbell, and there's some guys that are freshmen that are going to have to step up as well. And I think it's definitely a possibility that they can step up and play a big role for Texas. And I think that they're going to have a fun fall and they're going to get better. And I think I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, it was so much fun watching some of those young guys like Dylan Campbell. I mean, that's a kid you guys saw in fall ball. As I'm looking for a certain picture that I wanted to bring up for you, and for some reason I can't find it. But when, like, take Dylan Campbell for example. I mean, you guys kind of saw it in the fall, and then the alumni game, he really came onto the scene. Have we seen the ceiling for that kid, or is it just the beginning?
I don't think you have. I think this year he was kind of up and down in the lineup. He was kind of a guy that he was starting and playing every day, and then he got kind of benched, and then I wouldn't even call it benched. He just kind of got put off to the side a little bit. And, me and Coach would talk about it a little bit, and I would tell him, like, hey, that Campbell kid, he's going to play a big role for us, I think. And Coach was all on board. He's like, I know, I think he will too. And I told him, you know, I just kind of told Campbell that, hey, you need to keep working hard and you're going to get your time. You're going to get your time. And, you know, he was really good for us in the postseason. And, you know, in that ECU game, two big hits for us. And
wow.
I think that he's going to get those at bats and he's going to mature as a baseball player and, you know, as a hitter. And I think this summer, he's going to go play summer ball somewhere and definitely get better from that. So I think he can. I think it's just getting started. I can't wait to see what he does next year.
I can't either. I love watching each of you in that lineup and even the younger guys. But Dylan, man, it's just another part of that lineup.
Yeah,
he's just so athletic. Now, Coach Schlossnagle at A&M called this the golden era of college baseball, which brings me to this. Last Stand Hats, our guy Mike Murphy, who is the owner-operator of Last Stand Hats. And when you talk about the golden era of baseball, you mentioned that we both talked about the transfer portal. Now you have name, image, and likeness, and you've been the benefactor of it. You built your own brand, the 44 logo, with Mike, and you've had, I mean, as a player, I've never had a chance to really have thought about it. How has that helped you? And it goes beyond the monetary value, correct?
You know, I think that the NIL deal and all that, it's a very beneficial to the players.
Right.
I think it can serve as a distraction at times. But I do think that there's a lot more benefits than if you can manage it. Because, I mean, being a student athlete, you have to manage your time with school, with baseball. It's all managing, and this is just something else. So, I mean, I think if you can manage it correctly and, you know, seeing some of these guys, like, I don't know about in baseball, like Occupy Left Field Foundation is doing a great thing over there. And I think, you know, they're starting something that could really turn into something great for Texas. And I think it's headed in the right direction, but I think football hasn't figured out.
Yeah.
And I think if it ever can get to somewhat similar of what football has, I think that it'll be tremendous for the players and for the program. And I think that, but some of these guys in football, like some of these freshmen that haven't even played a down yet, they're making millions of dollars. And it
unreal.
Just blows me away. I mean, blows me away. And I'm just like, man, I hope these guys can catch a football or can go play some defense or something. But
unreal.
You know, I think definitely, you know, it's a great era for all of us. And, you know, I wish this was a thing when I was a freshman, not necessarily a 6th year, but it's all right. I got a year of it.
Yeah, you got to experience it. It's only going to – I would assume at some point there will be a less of a gray area, but you guys should have that opportunity.
I think the NCAA will probably put some kind of restrictions on it. I think that, you know, some of these guys, there is potential that they could make more than their coaches. And
That's amazing.
and
Blows my mind.
If it ever gets to that point, then I mean, how do you coach a guy, and how do you tell a guy what to do when that kid is going to say, "Man, I'm making more money than you. What do I got to listen to you?" But I don't know.
Hey, one of those guys, and you mentioned UT football, and all of a sudden, now Sark has done it. He inherited a bad situation and tremendous amount of talent, but his recruiting has been phenomenal. And this last 3 or 4 days, Austin, has been phenomenal, especially when you think about they've got now back-to-back number one quarterbacks, and this one right here, we've got a Manning coming to Austin.
When you know, and there's no point in dragging it out and creating some drama. And I'm not a big fan of the hat reveal, the whole deal. So I know that's part of the show now, but I kind of liked how he did it. Once he knew, he sent the word out.
Okay, so Arch Manning, they're calling him the perfect prospect. There's only been 3, and Vince Young being one of them, as far as a score of talent. Your thoughts on this? Because it seems like they're receiving a commitment every hour in the last 2 or 3 days.
I think that's great. I think it's definitely we need that as a football team, and I think that the more recruits that we can get in here, whether they're 2-star, 3-star, 4, I don't care. I really don't. Because you and I both know that all the competition is going to be done on that field.
Yep.
And in practice. And I think Arch Manning, I think it's definitely really cool that he's committed here. And I truly hope that all the hype around this kid, I hope he can stay level-headed up here. And I hope that he can, stay a hard worker, which I'm sure he is because, Peyton Manning. And I'm sure he's not going to let it get to his head. But, I just think that I'm excited to see him compete. And I hope that he competes because whether he's going to compare him to Vince Young, Colt McCoy, Sam Ehlinger, whoever, I mean, you can't compare a kid that hasn't played yet. So I think that's one of my biggest takeaways on it is, you got to do all the talking on the field and you got to go win a job. And, there's Quinn Ewers. He's going to be here as well. So you got to go. I don't know if he's even going to be the starting quarterback this year. Who knows? So all I know is you're going to have a quarterback room and there's going to be a bunch of positions and you're going to be fighting for a job. So go get it. Go get it. That's what we tell all of our baseball guys.
Go get it.
Go get it.
Earn it.
Earn it. That's exactly right.
It's about to – I think we're – 2 seasons away from it becoming a pretty special place again in Austin, Texas, as far as football goes. It's this close. It's about to happen.
I think and I hope he's not too concerned about what's going on with his personal stats. He's going to probably do really well with the whole NIL deal, and I hope that he can step in and he can understand that hey, football it's a team game.
Yeah.
And we go as you go. We're not satisfied with you throwing 6 touchdowns and losing. You do your job, everybody else is going to do their job, and you're going to look up at the scoreboard after, and there's probably going to be a W. So as long as everybody does their job on the team, that's all you can ask.
I love it. And then that's a good transition to this. Quick draw questions. So I'm going to say a name or a topic, and you give me a quick response, and we'll have some fun with it. Ivan Melendez. What's your quick response to that name?
Unbelievable player. One of the best players I've ever seen.
The football helmet after a home run in the dugout.
I think it's a great tradition that started. I think, we could maybe if we can bring it out 100, I don't know how many home runs that we hit. If we can bring it out 133 or whatever, 34 more times next year, that'd be great. Can never get too tired of the football helmet.
How would you describe Sky Messinger's motion with the hips while he's at bat?
You know, I think I really like it. I know what he's trying to do. Some of us wouldn't understand it, you know, but as a hitter, I know what he's trying to do, and I think it is definitely really something. But to the outsiders, it just looked like, what is this guy doing?
Is El Rey on your Apple Music playlist?
It will be after he gets drafted, because we're probably going to be celebrating.
And lastly, John Carter.
Unbelievable dude. Couldn't be more, happy to play for that guy. And he's a good family friend of ours. And so, looking forward to go play golf with that guy.
Hey y'all, Kevin Hutchison here with Realty Austin, and I am grateful to be a part of Stories Inside the Man Cave, a homegrown podcast just like my own business.
Hey Ben, tell me something good.
Austin, this is my favorite, one of my favorite and least favorite, because it means we're coming to an end. Real quick, man, tell me something good that's going on in your life that you're looking forward to. I mean, everybody, all good things must come to an end. That being your baseball career, in college at least. Tell me something good, my brother.
Yeah, I mean, I think, not necessarily kind of what I'm doing, but I think, I've struggled through a lot of – I wouldn't say even struggled. I went through a lot of adversity in my career. I think – adversity is something that we, as people, it's going to hit us at some point. Adversity is always going to find us. And the people that can, excel past that ones are the ones that are ready for it. And I think adversity, it can make or break you. I think people that stay mentally strong and can push past that can overcome just about anything that they want to. And I think that, being through those times of injuries and everything that I've gone through in my 6 years here and even in my career of baseball, I think there's been nothing short of being adverse at times and times that a lot of people would have folded on. And I think that, I've learned that about myself, and I think that I can use that, as a benefit in life. And I think that I can be a benefit to other people as well whenever I can see them going through adversity as well. And there's not anything that we can't do unless we put our minds to it.
100%. Man, that's Austin Todd. You've had an opportunity to get to know him a little better through this episode. And I knew it when he was at Round Drop. He was something different. It may be just the Round Drop boy thing. That Round Drop folks are pretty special people. And man, it has been fun watching you play. I'm glad that you decided to stay close to home. But, man, if you would have gone to Tech, A&M, or anywhere else, I would have still followed you the same. I know a lot of people have become significant fans of yours during your time on the 40 acres.
Well, I appreciate that. And I had one goal in mind, and that was to win a national championship, but I didn't make that. And at least if I could have left the University of Texas baseball program in a better place than I found it, that was the next goal. So I hope I done that, and I hope that I represented Round Rock and UT very well.
I can answer that for everybody. Yes, yes, and yes. Hands down, you left it in a better place, and I think you learned and think you earned tens of thousands of fans. And I know City of Round Rock and Dragon Baseball. What is it called? Hard Rock Baseball?
Yeah, Rock Baseball.
Rock Baseball, yeah. I don't know what I'm thinking. Hard Rock. What is that? It's a cafe. Oh, my God. Well, brother, we are proud of you, and I really appreciate you jumping on. I cannot wait to see what's on the future for you. And I know the OG Man Cave boys who helped me get this started would feel the same way and that's Hardball Hards, Big Mike, and Coach Mo. And for now, the VIP alumni of Stories Inside the Man Cave, that being Austin Todd. We are out.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up.